Welcome back to another heartfelt episode of the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. Today, I am absolutely honored to welcome back two incredibly special guests, Dave and Kellie Grill, authors of the breathtaking book, Send Me a Sign. If you haven't read it yet, this is a story that pulls you in from the very first page, a journey of love, fate, and the undeniable presence of divine guidance. Their book captivated me completely. I read it so fast because I couldn't put it down. And today we're going to dive even deeper into their journey, the moments that shaped their love, and the powerful signs that led them together. Whether you believe in fate, divine intervention, or just the magic of love, this episode is going to touch your heart. So let's dive in. Hey, Dave and Kellie, welcome back again to the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. We're going to take a totally different turn here from our last interview. Always a pleasure to have you here with me. I'm looking forward to even more stuff going forward.
Yay.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
We're honored. So sweet.
I love it. I love it. So without further ado, we're going to dive right in. And today's discussion and topic is your amazing book, Send Me a Sign.
Oh,
I want to show it all, but I don't trust my camera. Okay. This book was amazing to me. And I will tell you that I have to do, as you might know, hosting this channel, many different people in the equine world. I have to read a lot. And let me tell you, some days it's not that their content isn't interesting, it's a lot, right? And just so much and I'm like, am I done yet? And how many pages do I have to read every day till I finish before the interview? Because there's so much, right? Your book, if there was ever a book that kept me from picking up my iPad, it was Send Me a Sign. Truly.
Now there's a testimonial.
It is, because I have to drink my coffee in the morning with my iPad, listening to some inspirational message on YouTube while I do an electronic jigsaw puzzle.
Oh.
But I wasn't doing that while I read your book. I read your book in record time. Then I was like, don't finish it. Don't finish. You have a chapter. Don't finish it yet. Read one page. I can't. Oh, no. And then I finished it and I was like, where's the sequel? So that's a testament to how powerful this book was for me. And I thank you for, for writing your journey in such a manner that it was inspirational, motivational, touching, heart touching. I was picking out actors to play the movie, the Hallmark movie. Remember, I'm partway through and I reached out to you like, oh my God, when's the movie? When's the movie? And it truly is a timeless piece of work.
Thank you so much.
Just it's beautifully written.
20 years old this year.
And, it's amazing.
Tell about how people have told us that about how once they start, they can't stop.
We've been told that they couldn't put it down and they were mad because they read it all night long and then were worn out the next day. But
yes. You know, I guess love will do that to you, and this is a timeless love story. I wanted to give credit where credit is due. We co-wrote the book with a wonderful man named Doug Bender. He is still a dear friend of ours, and he came into our lives. If you read the book, you'll know he came into our lives because he followed our middle daughter do softball. You can tell a little bit about that.
Right. His summer assignment was following a little league softball team. As we advanced to the World Series, we made it to the final game. We got beat by Waco, Texas, but it was just a great run.
Yeah.
And we became really close with Doug. He's still a sports writer.
Yeah. And he, when we were, so many people were so intrigued by our love story before it was ever written. And so they featured us for Valentine's Day in the Oregonian newspaper. And we thought, oh, it'll just be a little small article. And then come to find out, how big newspapers used to be. It was 3 full pages, as tall as the newspapers are, which I don't even know how many inches or feet newspapers used to be or still are. But and they were color photos, and it was a story in the Oregonian called "Help from Above." And it had a photo of Teresa, Dave's first wife, that passed away of breast cancer, and the kids, and Dave and I out with our horses, and it was so well received on Valentine's Day. Doug had written it, and they wanted. His editor called him into the newspaper and said, "You need to write their book. You need to write their love story with them," and that's how it came about, right?
It was.
Oh,
It was
wow.
actually after it came out the following New Year's Day, went out and got the paper, and my face is on the front page of the Oregonian,
Yeah.
and it was the #1
Story.
story for the previous year of what happened to them next.
Yes, it was like, where are they now type of thing
Right.
on the New Year Day. And so the editor called him in and said, "We've gotten more phone calls, more letters, more emails about this story than any other story we've published all year. Write their book with them, Doug. I'm telling you, write their book with them." And so he came for a Super Bowl party. And the story of the Super Bowl party is kind of funny. Dave said, "I really love these 2 teams that are in the Super Bowl. Don't invite a lot of people to the Super Bowl party, Kelly." And I'm, this 10 out of 10 extrovert. So I invite 80 people. Yes, that's not a typo. 80 people. Dave was looking for more TVs. We had people out in the shop, out in the garage, all this stuff. It was so much fun. But Doug was the last person to leave. And he said, "Now, what do you think about this book? Should we write it?" And I said, "Doug, now if we write it, we have to finish it." And I said, "I can't be one of those authors that just has a half done book." And he goes, "Oh, we'll finish it." And he was a single guy at that time. And I said, "Okay, I'll make you a deal." I said, "I've got to make dinners all the time anyway, because I'm raising these 3 kids." And I said, "So how about you come on Wednesday nights?" And he did, didn't he? He came every Wednesday night. And I said, "We'll feed the kids and feed you a home cooked meal, and then we'll work till like 1 or 2 in the morning, and we'll work on it. And then you give us homework, and then you come back the following Wednesday." So it took a year and a half of Wednesdays, and we got it finished. And then tell how we got a publisher.
Yeah, we went to I guess it was a seminar just on, how do you publish a book, basically.
That Doug's editor
Yeah.
said, "You need to go." Doug's editor from the Oregonian newspaper. So
And
we went.
So we went, and
They were saying how they would not take any of these authors. They said,
Right.
"No, your chances are slim."
they had signed I can't remember his name, but a 7-book deal with this other fairly famous author. And they got about halfway through it, and that's when they ran into financial trouble.
Yeah.
But they asked us to stay after and said, "We've got to hear about that." They'd read about it in the newspaper.
Yeah.
When we told him what book we were writing. So he stayed behind, and he goes, "We need to get together. We would like to talk about signing you,
Yeah.
To a publishing deal." So
Yeah.
that's how it got started.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, they had spent so much with the other authors they had done that they ended up running out of money. But his words to us that night, and continually for a few months to follow, were, "Your book is my ticket to Oprah. I have been searching for this book my whole life, and I believe this will be Oprah's book club and all this stuff." And because she loves that kind of stuff. I mean, we all love, right? And so anyway, things didn't work out as planned, and he called us in and said, "I'm out of money. I've been shopping every bank from here to Seattle, from Portland to Seattle, and I cannot get another loan. I'm going to need to declare bankruptcy, but I want you all to promise me you will release this book. And you could please self-publish it." And we were like, "Oh, we don't know the first thing about self-publishing, and we're raising 3 kids." And don't forget, we have so many horses and all the things we do. But, and so he said, please, please, please do it. And we said, we kind of love the idea of that because we can donate money to breast cancer research and all of that stuff. So Whirlwind Publishing was born.
Yeah.
And tell how Whirlwind Publishing, the name, came about.
Well, our life is kind of a whirlwind, but I'm not sure what story
The
you're.
song.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd written a song called Whirlwind Ride. Kelly was being the songwriter. When she got together, she goes, whatever happened to that song? We pulled it back out, tweaked it a little bit, uh, took it to Nashville. Buddy Jewell did our demo for it, and then it got put into a nationally released documentary.
Yeah, a movie. I said, usually people's first songs don't go into a movie, but of course Dave Grill's did because he has a guardian angel. And a lot of guardian angels and divine help, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, it was, we just said, let's call it Whirlwind Publishing. So that's how it was born.
Nice.
And so the book took on a life of its own, and we did finish it.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm going to shift into, because it's very prominent in your book, the power of signs.
Yes.
And the odd thing is after I finished reading your book, there were signs that were showing up in my life
Yes.
that
You
were,
were
I'm
texting
like,
me.
wait a minute, what is
Yeah.
going on here? Now
I
I'm getting
love
that.
it. Yeah.
Are you kidding? And they haven't stopped. So
these angels
here
say,
we are.
oh, they're open to this.
Oh, they have so much fun with us, don't they?
Oh, they
I'm
do.
telling you. I'm like, oh,
And they
so
won't. They still happen.
Daily.
I mean, I had one just the other day that it was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. All right, all right.
Where you go, we can't make this up. This is
yeah,
definitely a divine sign.
exactly. There are days, and I truly believe in guardian angels,
Yeah.
and I always say I have the hardest working one, and some days I will in my head like, oh, I need to see a sign to know that I'm on the right, and then my guardian angel will not just do one, it'll be like a succession of them,
Yeah.
and I'll literally say, I'll be driving and I'm like, now you're showing off. I was okay with it, but now you are truly showing off, and I
Yeah.
love it. I just
Yeah.
love it.
The power of angels. Well,
Oh
and
my
I love
gosh.
how all throughout the Bible, God used angels. I mean,
Yes.
there's so much power in angels, and they, we're human beings having we're spiritual beings having a human existence. And so it makes sense that spiritual beings have so much power, even when they leave this earth. And, I always say no one except Teresa and I, Dave's first wife that passed away and the mother of our 3 kids, will ever know the true friendship and relationship that Teresa and I share because we have, raised each other's kids and shared this wonderful man together as our husband. And so it's so powerful and beautiful. And
I
yes, the power of
imagine
signs.
I imagine her heart is so pleased and happy. And I mean, your children, right? You just
Yeah.
want them to have the best start in life, the best life, and then they got you, and then they
Oh,
got
you're
you
so
both
sweet.
together to
Thank
do
you.
this right. It's all you
Yes.
want.
I'll give you one quickie story that isn't in the book, but that is kind of related to the book. I was at a big public relations and marketing convention it was only, or I guess it wasn't a convention, it was just kind of a gathering of about 12 of us. And there was a lady there that was a nurse, and she had written a book on angels and the power of angels. And I didn't know any of this. I didn't know her. And we're sitting around this conference table at a country club. And this lady has flown in teaching this big seminar she was from Cincinnati, Ohio. And she said at lunch, she said, I'm sorry to stop the conversation, but is there is a message here that I need to give Kelly. And I was like, oh, Lord, what is this going to be? And she said, we're having lunch, so I'm going to give it to you now because we won't interrupt the teachings. And She said, it's from an angel named Teresa, and she wants me to tell you thank you. And I just burst out crying. And you tell what you've always said when we get to heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always, we've kind of talked in general about, the whole situation, and I can't remember if Kelly asked me a question, but
You said, I know what.
I know what Teresa will say to you, when you guys finally meet again face to face, and that is thank you.
Yes. And he said, it won't be a lot of words. It'll just be thank you. And so when she said that, I just came unglued, and that she knew her name. I mean, this was a stranger. I hadn't talked to her. She didn't know any of my life. And so it was amazing. And, we definitely have a powerful angel.
Oh,
A lot of us
absolutely.
do if we're open to it.
I
Powerful.
had I had a situation. My sister's partner was fighting for his life. His heart was failing. And, she was deeply in prayer all the time, all the time. And I woke up one morning with this downloaded message that I had to tell Sherry, believe it or not. And when those messages can be so simple but succinct, and I didn't understand it. I wake up and I hear recliners, and I'm like, what? Recliner, Sherry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't. She's going to think I've lost my mind. But it's persistent. And I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
okay, here goes. So I get my phone out and start texting. I'm like, hi, honey. I'm supposed to tell you this, and I have no idea why or what it means. Recliner. What the heck? How? What? We're having two brand new recliners brought to the house today. They're down south. I have no
Oh,
idea. I didn't see this.
yeah.
And
You
I'm
don't
like,
know they're moving trucks.
but I'm like, what I didn't understand was that she needed to know that her prayers would be answered, that they were being heard and they were being answered. And
Wow.
he
You're
is
giving me
still
goosebumps.
living, and he had the whatever surgeries he needed, that it didn't look like he was even well enough to get. He was that bad. Only 10% of his heart was working.
Wow.
He was dying,
That's
actively dying. And she was praying and praying and praying and praying and praying.
there you go.
And then I'm told to tell her recliner. And then she knew. I said, my guardian angel said, you need to know that apparently you know, you are
Yeah,
being heard. So, and
that's
boom,
beautiful.
here
There
we
you
are.
go.
So
That's so beautiful.
I don't ignore. And when they come, I feel like I'm being hit by a truck. It's like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't say that. And it's no, you have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it
Okay. It
doesn't mean
is.
anything
It's
to me, but it means something to the person that I'm sharing it with. So
exactly.
I have
It's,
to when I,
and
right?
Even Melissa, touched by a horse that you and I have both been trained through and that we love so much. She has always said, when you want your intuition and your angels to speak more to you, just ask them and
Yes.
just be open to it. And it's the same even when we are coaching with our horses, that we say, we believe you. Thank you so much. You are incredible. You are such a gift. Your gifts are immense. You knocked it out of the park with this client, and that horse is like, oh, I'll do it again. It's like it's that power of belief, right? I mean, we've always said that and we don't even care if people think we're crazy, because we really believe in our angels and
Of
divine
course.
signs.
It's a common theme in my inner child healing groups, even people that are not spiritual in any way or religious. I always introduce them to their guardian angel, and I'll give them a guardian angel meditation to do. And I share with them, you have free will, and your guardian angel knows this, and they will never impose anything on you. But if you ask, they're waiting.
Yeah,
I always say I have the hardest working guardian angel, because my
it's so
guardian angel is like,
cute.
I need you to go to God. I need you to go to my father. I need you to go here. I need you to
Yeah,
go there. Take care of this. Take care of that. And when I
so
tell you,
beautiful.
there are times where I will make an ask, right? A request. And within minutes, and I am not exagerating, boom,
Yeah,
it's
there it
there.
is. Yeah,
Whatever the
yeah.
request, it is
It
there
is.
so swiftly that I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
wow. And I'm like,
Well,
thank you,
I love
Jesus. Thank you,
that.
Jesus. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you, thank you.
I
Oh,
love that. Isn't that
Yeah.
beautiful? Yeah, and it is. Yeah, and there's no one who's felt it more than you, especially being the father of the three kids
mm.
and the husband of Teresa. Yeah,
I needed a lot of guidance after that.
yeah, yeah. Like you said, we had
Teresa knew that.
Ricky was 14, Lauren was 12, and Johnny was 10. And Dave always said I can get through it with Johnny probably, you know.
Yeah, at that age, a guy, they're starting to, make change to their womanhood. And I was like, what do you do?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
And it's she definitely there's no doubt in our minds that Teresa put us together and had this whole thing in motion. She and God, right? Angels work
Absolutely.
really closely with God.
What was the most powerful or unexpected sign that truly affirmed your love and your journey together? What was the unexpected sign?
Would it have been the
well,
rainbow?
it was for me, it was immediately after Kelly and I'd been talking. You can read about it in the book. I won't bore you with details, but when
Oh, but our
Kelly,
listeners don't know, so
Yeah, they
you
don't
must
know. They
enlighten
don't
them.
know. Yeah.
so well, how detailed do you want me to be with that? So, uh, the background, Breeder's Digest background. My best friend from Utah, he was also my center. I was a quarterback on the football team. Kelly is 5.5 years younger than me, so I've known her since she was 12, basically. I mean, it was always the cute little twins.
Yeah.
They're 12, we're 17, then 18,
Yeah,
junior
yeah.
and senior year. So didn't really, notice her as where we're at now. But
Yeah.
uh,
Makes
And that's
sense.
right.
she was in town. Teresa passed away right over the Thanksgiving holiday area. Kelly and her twin sister Casey were in Utah with their brother. When I called Brett, he was one of the first ones I called to tell him that we'd lost Teresa. So Brett immediately said, "Well, Casey and Kelly are here. We'll hop on a plane. We'll get out there, and you
Casey's
know,
going to go back to Nashville.
Casey will go back, take care of the animals in Nashville. I'll bring Kelly with me. She can watch over the kids or do whatever we can be helpful with." So they did, and uh, when they arrived, it was like instant connection with the kids. And
Mm.
for the week that I was planning the memorial and so forth, the kids were off swimming. She was taking them out in the country to see horses and pet horses and feed them
And
carrots and ride horses. Um,
we
so
went bowling and all of that
it
fun stuff.
was, I mean, it truly was. She was a
Oh,
godsend from that standpoint because,
The
yeah.
two little cousins too.
you're right. And particularly with the girls, Johnny was 10. He had his little cousin in town, but she took them all with him and kept them busy. So that was real helpful. And then after the service was over, they all had to go back to their homes. And as they were leaving,
You had said at the celebration of life, if we
that's
don't call you, it means we love you, but it just means we're okay.
right. I said, everybody. I had people bring in food and sending condolences nonstop. And at the service, I don't remember it, but apparently I said, you know, we're going to be fine.
And if I
If
need you, I'll
if
call.
I need you, I will call. If I don't call, don't be offended. It's like we're making it. So as Kelly was leaving the day I think it was the day after, 2 days after the service, um, we gave her a hug and said, "We'll have safe travels." And she says to me, "I want to be one that you call." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know." It was in reference to what it said at the service, and I really didn't really remember that. But the girls immediately the next morning it says, "Can we call Kelly? We want to call Kelly." So that went on for weeks. They talked back and forth.
Lauren, the 12-year-old, had really taken it. I mean, they all took it hard, but Lauren is our most emotional child that way, and so she well, I mean, they're all emotional, but she was just really struggling. So she was sitting in her mom's closet, smelling her mom's jackets with her perfume on them, and just all of that stuff. And so she was struggling so bad that I'm a songwriter, so I wrote her a poem. And she called one day, and I said, "Let me read you this poem I wrote you about you and your mom." And so, just stuff like that was happening. And so, and then tell about the rainy I-5.
Right. Well, they'd been having this ongoing conversation, which, I would dial the phone, hand them the phone. Oh, hi, Kelly. Lauren and Nikki want to talk to you.
Yeah. And I talked to Johnny a few times.
Right. And I'd hear back and forth, but we didn't really have all that much direct, conversation. Well, I'm sitting on I-5 one day, and Kelly calls. No, I mean, I called Kelly, and traffic was at a crawl, and she's like, "Hi, what are you up to?" It's like, "I'm just sitting here on I-5 going nowhere fast. I thought I'd give you a call. Thanks for, calling the girls. They really appreciate it. They really have a connection with you." And all of a sudden she goes, "I have something I need to tell you."
Yeah. And I was like that little 12-year-old girl again. And he was the 17-year-old quarterback, my brother Brett's best friend. And my hand was shaking like this. I mean, literally with the phone. And I was like, "I've had a crush on you since I was 12 years old, and I love you, and I love your family." And we've always loved his mom and dad. They knew our parents really well and everything. So, and all of a sudden he said, "Well, that's great. I've got to go." And I was like, "What?"
I scared him.
Yeah. And I thought, "Oh, I've blown it." And
I blew it.
Pulled in to pick up our oldest daughter, Nikki. She had a voice lesson. She was a singer and loves to sing. And so he didn't want her to hear it in the car. So I thought I'd blown it. I called my brother, and my brother's like, "Oh my gosh, you blew it. What are you doing?" And and then the phone rang again, and it was Dave.
Yeah. So that, she'd actually said, "I've had a crush on you since I was 12. I still kind of have I still have feelings for you. And if I just have to say, if you ever want to date again, whether it's tomorrow or 5 years from now, I'm available."
Yeah. And even though I'm clear in Nashville, I was in Nashville doing my music dreams of songwriting and with my twin sister there and everything. And I said, even if I'm clear in Nashville, I still would love to, fly out. And he goes, "Well, let's plan a 4-day weekend." And I was like, "What? It's moving fast."
Right?
Yeah, he's a man of action.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
So, and then my biggest, and that 4-day weekend happened. Wilma watched. Dave's mom was the only person on earth besides my twin sister and my brother that knew what we were doing and going to Lincoln City, Oregon, the coast. And so she watched the kids for us. And when we were there, it had been a rainy, yucky day, and the sun started to clear, and we got there and the sun was out the whole weekend. But what was interesting, we were at a little place called Depot Bay, and it's so cute, and it's right on the water, and it's just little cute coffee shops and little gift shops and everything. And we were looking over at the ocean, and we had a guy take a photo of us with regular cameras. This was back in 2000 and 2001, so in January. And he said, "This may seem weird, but a rainbow appeared above your heads as I was snapping your photo." And we were like, "Really? A rainbow?" And then I took a solo photo of Dave, and he took a solo photo of me. And all 3 times a rainbow appeared above our heads. And the whole drive and the whole weekend, David kept saying, "Please, Teresa, send me a sign."
Well, yeah, getting back to your original question, we kind of get sidetracked once in a while. But the most significant one, this was when I called Kelly and said, "Would you be willing to come out for a long weekend? Let's just see what this is all about. If there's nothing there, you can go back to Nashville. We can still be great friends. If there is something there, then we'll see where it goes." So she said, "Yes, I would love to come out." So she flew out, and this again is 2 months after Teresa had passed. I mean, this was not cool with a lot of people, and I knew it.
Lots of conflict, lots of daggers, and if they could have, they would have.
You're waiting for the judgment.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think there's a message there as well.
We've
I think
known each other 23 years.
right, but when opportunity presents itself to you, I mean, I know so many people that would have just turned and walked away and never followed through with it.
They care what people think, and that's the good thing about Dave and I. We don't care what people think. I mean, we care what people think, but we still act on what we believe, and what we believe we are being divinely guided to do. Yeah. And we knew for our family, that's what we were supposed to do.
Right. So again, Kelly said it. At this point, the only 4 people that knew Kelly was coming was Brett, her brother, Kelly and I, and my mother, because I needed my mother and Casey, 5. So I needed somebody to watch the kids for that weekend. So I told my mom, this is what's happening. I didn't even tell the kids. No. Kids didn't know it.
No. They would have wanted to join us at the coast, Dave said.
Probably.
And so I go to the airport. This is back before all the security. So I'm at the gate. I was actually running late, of all things. I couldn't believe it. She was already off the plane. Boy.
Yeah.
I get to the gate.
He stood me up.
Yeah. So when I talked to her on the phone originally, it was just a great idea how to do this. And then it sunk in that, oh my God, I've got, a gal coming into town 2 months after I lost my wife, who we had a great relationship, loved her dearly. So it turned into quite an anxious, apprehensive, am I doing the right thing? And from walking down the terminal of the airport, I was asking Teresa, if this is not what I'm supposed to do, send me a sign. Hit me over the head with a rock. Do something. If this is not what I should be doing, let me know. But if it is, I'll take that sign too. So literally from the time we left the Portland airport, it was just a rainy, gloomy January day, pouring down rain. We start heading to the coast, which is about an hour and a half out there. About halfway there, we stopped, got a cup of coffee. Kelly got a tea. Still just cold, miserable. But we get to the coast, and you got to go over the coast range and then drop down to the coast. And there's one final little knoll that you go over, and you can start seeing the horizon of the ocean. And as we got there, I mean, just still pouring down rain, but right on the horizon, you could just see
it was just
like a line, blue sky.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this is good. So we get down to where the hotel was. By that point, it's like, wow, this is
changing. Yeah.
Well, again, the whole drive there, even though I'm having a conversation, with her, I'm just going, oh, is this Teresa? Just give me a sign, send me a sign. So that evening we had just a incredible dinner overlooking the ocean, and it's a beautiful.
Yeah, even the waitresses and everybody were saying, this weather is just taking a turn. It's supposed to be gorgeous all weekend. And the forecast said rain all weekend. Yeah, it was amazing.
So for 3 days at the coast, we had literally cloudless skies, 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went, like the Depot Bay thing with the rainbows.
But then I lost the roll of film. I've lost the roll of film at the lighthouse, and then we found the roll of film. We thought it was at the lighthouse. Then we found it at a bar that we had frequented, and it was just unbelievable. The amazing stories, and even all the ladies that processed the roll of film at Fred Meyer. Back when we all took film to be processed, she even said, I've never seen photos like this, and I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never developed photos with rainbows over someone's heads like this. And I mean, she commented on it, and it was just amazing. And the photos are in the book, and they are amazing photos. And we have
I can attest.
Yes, we do. And so I had many, many affirmations that yes, this is what you need to be doing. And
Mhm.
again, you could, there's a message in that. Opportunity presents itself, you can proceed cautiously, or
Right.
kind of read the room, read the signs. And in this case, it was literally a no-brainer. I knew for a fact that is the direction we needed to head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
And
Because
we're
I
going
think
on
even
our,
after 2 months, I don't think if it wasn't right, I think your gut would have taken over
yeah.
and said,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's
Oh,
yeah, I might take you up on that, Kelly, but it's
yeah,
probably going to be a while and whatever." But when you
exactly.
get that impulse to
Yeah.
like, I got to act on this, there's
Yeah.
something more than just your brain,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think so too. And I think that builds our angels, like we were just saying earlier. It's like the belief in all of that even builds more belief. And so it's just like it gets you stronger and stronger in your trusting those signs and acting on them. We're going on our 23rd wedding anniversary, April 27th, and our 24th year of being together. And so it's been, and it hasn't been all perfect. I mean, there's been some bumps in the road. One of
Like,
them was that I was trying to save the world with happiness, and I was leaving my husband home at the ranch. Well, I was traveling all over America doing all these things for speaking on happiness and going to my business coach in Connecticut and all this stuff, and realized that I needed to. My husband is quality time is his love language, and my second love language is quality time. My first is physical touch. That's why I was so huggy with everybody and lovey with everybody. But I realized, yeah, well, he had me realize he needed me home more, and I realized I was just trying to save the world with happiness while my husband was wanting me around more. So, there is always there's always going to be obstacles that we all have to face in relationships. And I chose correctly. I chose him and my family and my little grandkids and my animals and my home life more. And interestingly enough, it was the best thing ever. I'm thriving even more in my business by doing that. So it's funny what you can will come along that you have to make choices and once again I was asking for signs and my angels to guide me on all of that too. So right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no relationship is perfect. I don't want anybody to ever think that you just have always smooth sailing, right?
That's right. I'd forgotten all about that. So you reminded me.
now I'm angry again. No.
No, but it's
Well, that brings us to my next question about overcoming doubt and challenges,
yes,
because there were moments in your story where challenges could have torn you apart. Was there
exactly.
ever a time, well, when doubt crept in? And if so, what helped you stay committed to each other and your path?
Yeah. Well, for me, I'll answer it real quick. Is that I had a bunch of Teresa's family and friends who were understandably not happy with me coming into the picture so soon, and we knew at the coast for those 4 days that we would eventually marry, but we did wait a year and a couple of months for that to happen, to get engaged and all of that. But it for me it was, and I put myself in their shoes and I completely understood, how heartbroken they were and how they missed Teresa so badly. And so that, well, I would sort of doubt myself of, oh, what am I doing? These people are so angry with me. They don't like I've stepped in this role of helping Dave raise the kids, and eventually we're going to get married. And so I would do that doubt, and then I'd be like, but wait, this is my life. This we know we're correct. We know we've been guided by Teresa. And I know what I'm doing for this family is, helping them. I called my mom after I took on the family for just even the first month and said, thank you for being my mom, and thank you for always having food in the cupboard, and for cooking the meals that you did and all the different things, because you realize real quick when you haven't been a mom and you step into being that role, how how there's poster board that's needed for a science project and you don't get told about it until 10 minutes to 11 and the store closes at 11 that night, and you rush to the store and you grab the poster board, all of that kind of stuff. So that was where my doubt came in. It's just her family and friends that were hurting so badly. And eventually, every one of them came around and apologized to me and told me they were sorry, and all of these beautiful, beautiful things that happened with all of that, that they were cold to me at first. And, but I understood it all and I just let them have their time. And so
Wow.
that was my doubt. Did you have any doubts?
I I really never did,
Yeah.
but a lot of that was just how well the kids, adjusted to having Kelly in the house. And dinner was on the table. We ate at the dining room table for
Yeah.
5, 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
That was kind of the
My joke is I got real smart on, we did tacos at least once a week. We did French dip sandwiches at least once a week. I was like, oh, what can I feed these people? And keeping the
Wow.
laundry up and, all that stuff.
yeah, and it's kind of sounds weird, but I really never went through had any doubt that this is what we needed, everybody as a family to move on. And a lot of that was, how were the kids reacting? And they were thriving in school and all their activities, and obviously still missed their mom dearly. But they kind of had, Kelly. I'm kind of, the gruff dad. So it was a great outlet for them to go to and have, that sympathetic ear if there were things
Sure.
going on, particularly the girls,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, they were at that age that they need some
Yeah.
pretty straightforward guidance moving
Yeah.
ahead. So
100%. 100%. And Dave, you're an amazing man. But wow, right? Kelly, like this woman with no prior experience
oh
experience
Well,
as
and
a mom,
Nikki,
you did it so
oh,
effortlessly.
you're so
So
sweet.
no, really.
I
I
was
mean, I know
guided by
there's
an angel, let me tell
challenges,
you.
of course. Even if you're a natural mom to kids, trust me, there's even more. There's plenty. Oh my gosh, from speaking from having raised my own.
Yes.
But you just dove right in. And
Yeah.
even with knowing, and that would be the hardest part for me,
Yeah.
knowing that there are people who are standing
Yeah.
back, like just,
Oh.
judging and
Wanting to
how
claw
dare
my eyes out.
they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
Anybody else I think would run, would be like,
yeah.
I can't
Well,
take
and
the
I
pressure.
remember that my brother said, there's nobody on this planet that can do it better than you, Cal. He said, because you're going to strut in there and you're going to hold your head up
I got
high. And he said, I just know you. I know you can do this. And my dad said something really cute too. He said, this is not going to be all rainbows and puppies and sunshine. He said, you are dealing with children who have lost their mother. And and she was their world, and it's going to be some hardships. In fact, the very first Mother's Day that I had actually adopted the kids, when Dave and the three kids asked me to marry him and them, and it was such a cute team effort. And when they did that, and then they same night they said, "Will you adopt us also?" Because they said, we really want you to be our mom.
Oh
And,
my
and
gosh.
not to take anything away from Teresa. And I always
Oh,
said, just call me your stepmom, even though I've adopted you. Your mom's your real mom. And but even on the first Mother's Day, they all gave me gifts, and Johnny Home made me the cutest gift. It was a little pin that goes on your shirt, and it was this crazy redhead with red yarn as hair, and it was so cute that he had made when he was 11. And I still have that to this
I'm
day.
sure you do.
It's so darling. But we went to the cemetery on Mother's Day, and as we were leaving for the cemetery, Dave pulled me in for a hug, and he said, "Are you sure you're okay doing this?" And I said, "This is part of the deal. We share these children, and they want to put flowers on their mom's grave, and it's a good 2.5 hours to drive to Dufur, where their mom is buried." And I said, "That's part of the deal. I signed on, and she's our angel, and she deserves flowers on Mother's Day." So I got flowers and she got flowers, but we drove to the cemetery for that. And it was just part of our life. And a cute thing too is when we were married, Lauren was only 13, so she wrote something to be read by Pastor Doug at the church, but she didn't want to read it. She was like a little too afraid to read it, because it's scary to be in front of 200 people reading something at a wedding. But it was a beautiful thing that she wrote about that a lot of people doubted us, but we all knew that she was our Kellie, and she was brought to us by our mom, and it was so adorable. There wasn't a dry eye in the house with that. So it was super cute. So we all knew, but there are times of doubt sometimes where you just
Of
have to
course.
keep on keeping on.
Absolutely. What about love versus logic? And so often, love and logic seem to be at odds. Were there moments when the logical choice told you one thing, but your heart told you something else? And how did you navigate that?
I should probably let Kellie answer, because there again, I knew this was if I really think back about it and now, realize what Kellie's meaning was when she said, "I want to be one that you called."
Mm.
I think in my mind, it was like, she needs to be here.
Yeah.
We need her, and in a way,
us.
she needs us.
Yeah.
She'd had some kind of relationships that I would probably have a beer with the guys, but they were kind of jerks.
Yeah, I called myself a jerk magnet. Yeah, I seem to attract.
Oh, you too?
They were really nice guys, and I've left them, with no bitter feelings and all of that stuff. But I literally had done a surrender to God where I just said, I can't keep doing this, and I have to just not sit and try to find love. I just have to surrender to you, Lord, and just give it to you and give it to God, of that my perfect man is out there, but I can't sit and try to find him. I have to just let it happen. And that was in September of 2000. And then I would never, ever, ever, ever want Teresa to pass away, but she passed away in November of 2000. And then by January of 2001, we were at the coast together. So yeah. And my thing is, I am, as a 20 out of 20 feeler in my temperament tests, my number one value is love. So I act on love always. Logic goes out the window with me, and Dave is all about logic, and because he's a thinker and I'm a feeler. But what's so interesting, and I think God's amazing how he balances people out that way. And but my thing is I know that love will always conquer all. And so through it all, if you know that you are, if you are trusting God's plan, it's, love will conquer all. And I knew that, we could get through even our darkest moments as long as we all had each other. And and it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey now. 3 kids and all of the different, son-in-laws and 6 grandbabies, and the whole menagerie of animals that we have, all of it. But it is a family unit, and we are all we're all about love versus logic, because love in the end is what always wins. Is my viewpoint.
Got to throw logic in there a little bit. It just
That's what she has you for, Dave. Or you're 10% logic, 90% love. And now we're gonna talk about writing versus healing, or writing writing as healing.
Yes.
So
There's
how
a reason
did
people journal, right?
oh, absolutely. How did writing Send Me a Sign affect you emotionally? Did reliving certain moments bring healing, or did it open up new reflections that surprised you?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You want to take that one, Kel?
Oh yeah. Well, my reflections were, as I looked back on, I was the one who kept all the timeline, obviously, because I'm the woman, and so everything in Send Me a Sign is 100% true, because that's what journaling does, right? We keep track of all these things, and I have all the receipts and all of that stuff that kept track of all those dates. And Doug Binder was so happy with that when he was helping us co-write it. He was like, "Wow, Cal, you've really kept a great log of all of this." And I don't know that I knew it would become a book, but I knew that I'd want to reflect on it later. And that's what the reflection of it did for me, is just once again solidifying how meant to be all of this was. And there's a story in it that you could share that is so beautiful, your little jewelry box. Share that little story real quick, what Nikki said.
Yeah. Had given Teresa, it's a miniature cedar chest thing that she put all, like, kids' first teeth, anything that was really sentimental
For Grandpa's wedding ring.
and valuable,
Yeah.
was in that box. And during her illness, she was a very popular teacher, favorite teacher for kids. She was a middle school teacher.
She's a soccer coach.
Yeah, she was really involved in everything. I mean, she had over 800 people show up for her funeral. But she had so many, get well cards. Literally, I think there were 2 or 3 Rubbermaids full of gift cards and
get well cards.
Or get well cards.
Yeah.
And those were all packed away. But when, I guess Kelly and Casey had written her a get well postcard from Nashville at one point. This was after we thought that she had beat it the first go around.
Dave and Brett, our brother, had been to the 20-year high school reunion, and Teresa had shown up there with little 1-inch hair after having chemotherapy, and they had beat it, and it was in remission, and it was in 1998, and because that was their 20-year. I'm sorry, 1999. Because that was your 20-year high school reunion. And so Brett had said, "Oh, she was doing great." And everyone was so happy. We were all on cloud 9 that she showed up. And so I just grabbed a cute postcard from Nashville and said, "So glad to hear you're doing well. Sending love and blessings to you and the family. Kelly and Casey Polson, Brett's twin sisters," because I wasn't sure they'd even know who we were. And I had gotten the address from Brett. And so after she passed,
right, I went upstairs because I knew something was in there. Somebody to ask about
her driver's license.
Yeah, okay, driver's license for something. So I lift the lid on it, grab the license, and I look kind of under the lid, and it's like, "What's that?" And there was this postcard stuffed like in the lid of this little jewelry box.
Whoa.
So I'm like, pull it out, and it's like this postcard from Casey and Kelly.
And you recognize the writing,
and
because I've been writing the girls.
Right, and her writing is very I mean, it's flamboyant. And
I know, I have it in my book. I'm like, wow.
Right. So it's like I take this downstairs, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
This is really weird. This is the only card that she had not put in a Rubbermaid and put it in the lid of her most valuable
possession
things.
That's crazy.
And I go downstairs and I'm like, "Guys, look at this." I mean, this was a postcard from Casey and Kelly, and Nikki looks right at me. She goes, "That's when Mom decided."
Chose Kelly.
Well, that's when Mom chose Kelly.
And our oldest daughter is very intuitive and very she'll tell you right face to face. She speaks to angels, and so she said that's when Mom chose Kelly, and that would have been in 1999.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then in 2000, November 25th of 2000, they lost her. So yeah, it's been quite the whirlwind.
So obviously, to me, that was another sign. Okay, yeah, this is what we need to do. So let's get this thing moving.
Yeah. Just one sign after another, as you'll read in this beautiful book. And I will Where can we find your book now if anyone wants to order it? I know you're working actively on getting it on Amazon. I'm saying that for our viewers and
Yes,
listeners.
and we're
But
we're going to go in and have it recorded and done on Audible because we've had. I
okay.
mean, it's 20 years old now this year in August, so we've got lots of requests for it to be on Audible. So we're going to be doing that as its 20th anniversary little celebration for it. So we've got, if people want to go to Whirlwind Publishing, and it's just spelled like a whirlwind, whirlwindpublishing.com. You can find information about it there. But we will be getting it's going to be all relaunched at this 20th anniversary, and we're even talking to Kimber about helping us with all
Beautiful.
that. So getting the word out there. We even have had some interest from. We've got a gal here locally that teaches screenwriting, and we took her screenwriting class, all three of us, Doug Bender and Dave and I, years ago, and we wrote the screenplay for it, but it's not the greatest screenplay. It was our first screenplay we ever wrote, and so we've got a screenplay on it. But Cynthia, the gal who teaches the class, she said, she's done a lot of Hallmark movies and things, and she said, I could help you get it into some,
Good.
Hollywood producers' hands and
Do
stuff.
it.
So there's all that kind of stuff,
Please
and
do it. Please,
yes,
please, please. I
and
am
I've
not
also
waiting
heard
5 years for the movie. This has to
yes,
happen. It has to
we
happen for Christmas.
exactly. Wouldn't it be amazing? And we do. We went and saw. I kind of drug my brother Chad, my other brother, and my husband Dave to the Barbie movie. I wanted to see it with Margot Robbie,
I'm
and
sorry,
so we
Dave.
went. And then I found out Margot Robbie has her own producing company. She's producing some movies now, and she's looking for love stories. So yes, so she's looking for love stories, and then cute little Chrissy Metz, who was Kate in This Is Us all those years on TV. She's producing movies now, and she loves movies with a spiritual God theme. So there's that, and then I've also heard Reese Witherspoon is looking for some love stories to produce. So there's all those
Okay.
connections. I
Okay.
have a friend in LA she works for an attorney's office with a lot of big actors and actresses in LA, and she said, Kellie Grill, get me that story and let's get it done. So it's literally just a matter of taking the action, like we said, and getting this to the masses.
Please,
So Kimber's help.
please. This
We're
has to
gonna It's gonna be
happen.
so fun.
Oh
So
my gosh. I can't
so
wait.
stay to be continued, right?
Oh, it certainly will. I will put a link in the description box to our viewers and listeners to Whirlwind Publishing. So if there's a few copies out there that you can get, but stand
Yeah.
by because as soon as this is launched on Audible and Amazon, we'll do another
Oh,
interview and launch that.
so
So
sweet. Thank
just
you.
stay tuned for that. Now I want to talk about faith and trust
Yeah.
in the unknown
Oh,
because so many readers are struggling with trusting the unknown. Many are. What advice would you give to someone who is waiting for their own sign but feels unsure or afraid?
For me, when it's not a lot of gray area. I mean,
Mhm.
I tend to feel that's okay. Yes, that's the direction I need to go. Or even if there's some hesitation, it's probably a no.
yeah.
Um, so I'm not
Mm,
sure if I'm the best one to give advice on that. Do do a pros and cons list? I rarely ever do that. I go a lot by my gut feeling and
mm,
trust it a lot of times. And for me, I guess that's my litmus test. I mean, what do I feel in my gut? Uh,
mm-hmm.
with Kelly, there was, you know, no doubt that that was the direction we needed to go. Maybe it was too soon. I mean, a lot of people told me it was way too soon, but not for it wasn't for us.
Yeah.
I can't say that I would recommend, putting any kind of timeline if you've been through a tragedy or something like that. There is no timeline
Yeah.
at
Right,
all. I mean, you
right.
have to go everybody grieves differently. Everybody, you know, maybe has social pressures that, I kept hearing the 1 year rule.
Yeah.
And it'd be like,
What
the
rules?
1 year rule, what is that? I've never seen a rule on that.
Yeah.
And, so I ignored it and went with
Yeah.
my gut.
But
So,
that's it, Dave. You are a logical man whose gut steers you in the right direction. So if your gut, I mean, that became very clear to me, that you being as logical as you are, if your gut said no, that meeting would have never happened, or
no,
not as soon as it did, right? And what is this with the rules, the one
Yeah.
year rule? Does
Yeah.
that
well,
override?
Well, yeah.
I'll
Does that override love? Yeah.
and this, I don't mean this, egotistically or anything, but I was 40 years old, and the, the kids were all involved in activities, and, the community, everybody loved everybody. And it was, I think we came across as a pretty good family. And when Teresa passed, I think it Brett that called, said, "Oh, you're going to get bombarded with the casserole women."
Yeah. Yeah.
Casserole
And
queens.
like, what?
You got casserole coming out of your ears.
we,
Yeah.
we got bombarded with casserole. I think I put on, probably in the year after Teresa passed, I think I put on 40 pounds because we
Yeah.
were constantly getting lasagnas and casseroles and this.
Oh,
Well, initially I'd put the kids to bed because they were still,
Yeah.
going to, had to get up for school every morning. So
Mhm.
they'd go to bed on time, and I'd sit down there and be bored and wondering what's going to happen in life. So I'd finish off a whole casserole. But there were, you know, at 40, you kind of, there's, at that kind of age, there's some divorcees out there and things like that. Uh, Finding another partner, I think at that point in my life, at that age, probably would have happened at some point, but Kelly was here immediately after, and then within 2 months, she'd come out to see what this thing was all about. So
It just was what it
it
was.
was what it was. And if I broke the 1 year rule for anybody's, sorry,
Yeah.
hope you're over it now. But
I love this. I don't know if you've ever heard this. I share it with all my retreat gals and my group gals that attend my different equine gestalt events. And I even share it with my one-on-one clients too, is worry and faith have the same definition. Worry is belief without evidence, and faith is belief without evidence. So we might as well just have the faith. And
right.
so that kind of goes along with trust, trust versus, the unknown, trust and facing all that different worry or self-doubt or whatever. It's basically our lives are kind of belief without evidence. We don't know what's around the next corner. So we just have to act. And, if there's anything like in our last podcast that we talked with you about, is if there's anything in life that can really slow you down, it's not acting. And I can't even imagine where I'd be or where my life would be if I hadn't, with my hands shaking like this, told him that I had had a secret crush on him since I was 12
I
years
love
old.
it.
And, acting like a little 12-year-old telling him this. And I was a full grown 35-year-old woman at the time telling him. And,
Mhm.
but it's, my joke is, love will make you do crazy things, but, it really will. And we have a story of, speaking of the screenwriting, that we took that class. There was a cute gal in there that read our book. They said, "Oh, what are you writing the screenplay on?" And we said, "Oh, we're writing it on our book called Send Me a Sign." And she goes, "Oh, do you have one?" And we gave it to her. And she and her husband now are still on our Christmas card list. She was starting to date this guy, and he was a guy from her high school that had come back into her world. And she was going to be really, really very cautious. And after she read our book, she said, "I'm going to meet him up in Washington. We're going to this amazing hotel. on the water. And she said, I read your book and I realized I have to throw caution to the wind. I think he's the one. And he has shared his love for me and that he's loved me ever since high school. And I'm going to do this. And they are still married to this day. And she
Oh,
still credits reading. She worried what other people would think. And she said, and after reading your book, I said, I'm not going to worry what other people think. This is my life.
that's
And
great.
and she was even a little worried what her kids would think, and her kids just love him, and they are so glad that their mom stepped out on that ledge and jumped in with both feet. And so anyway, they're a beautiful couple, and we met him, and
Mm.
and all of that stuff. And we were invited to their wedding, but we had something going on with our kids with one of their sports, and we couldn't go. But she credits reading our book to that, to just throwing caution to the wind and trusting your gut and having faith. Like we said, faith is belief without evidence. So you just have to have the faith and not worry
Right.
about it. It's
Absolutely. I think you can stand in your own way with worry and talk
yes,
yourself out of things, but then have to live with the regret because you
yes,
worried so much that you talked yourself out of it. If you don't ask, the answer is always no, right?
exactly,
I'd
exactly.
rather ask and hear no and know where I stand and be able to get on with my life
Yeah,
without the regrets. And then there's always that possibility of a yes, and there's always a possibility of a maybe, but at least it's out there.
exactly, exactly. And I like to say this ties back to the business podcast that we did with you, but you know, uh, it's never no never. It's just no not now or no
Yeah,
not yet. And I mean, life has a funny way of coming back around. Even this cute gal at our screenwriting class had her a guy come back around from high school. It just sounded almost exactly like our story. And except the roles were reversed. It was me coming back around to Dave instead of. But it's life is so beautiful if you will take those chances. And to sit back and regret. I love this quote Dolly Parton said one time. She said she was with a reporter, and the reporter said, "What would you put on your tombstone, on your epitaph?" And she said, "I would put no regrets." And he said, "Well,
same,
that's pretty confident and cocky, don't you think?" And she said,
same.
I feel that as a very smart businesswoman, anything I've done in my life, I've done because I thought it was the right thing to do, or I wouldn't have done it. And so she said, "No regrets." And I think that's such a great way to live, and she's a great role model for that. She said, "Of course, I've had movies that haven't done well, or songs that haven't done well, but you have to take those chances, like you just said.
Absolutely.
The answer is
Absolutely.
always no if you don't ask or you don't try."
Right. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was a signed artist. I was,
Yes.
right? So it didn't start off where I had all these amazing sponsorships and that people said no all the time, but I
Yes.
never let that be a judgment about me or the work that I was doing. I was like, no, just it's just not for right now. But
Yes.
eventually I will get your
I will
attention.
get there.
And
Yes.
right. And that belief
Yeah.
was there and it just happened.
Yeah. I remember that story that Jim Carrey, the funny actor, they call him the man of a thousand faces. I remember he wrote himself a check for $1 million and said, "This will be
Yes,
the least amount I take for a movie when I do it,"
he
because
wasn't
it's
wrong.
you have to have that belief in yourself. And we believed in our love story. We believed it was correct. We would never have taken that chance and put the kids in any type of uncertainty unless we knew it was a sign from our angel and from God guiding us. There was a plan.
Yeah, there was a plan, and fortunately for me, us, I'm reading how the kids are reacting
Right.
to all this as well, and just just the way they reacted. They love Kelly, and the girls in particular loved her from the day she walked through the door. Now, if that would have been a real issue, if every time Kelly came over, the girls broke down crying, and it's like, we don't like her.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Cal, you gotta go.
I mean,
Sure.
truly, I mean, this was a group approval deal.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
that it made the decision pretty easy. And here again, it's 20 years down the road. I think we can confidently say this was the right thing to do.
Sure
We've got
can.
Yeah.
6 grandkids later.
What's
And
that little saying? The proof is in the pudding.
yeah,
And we're coming upon our 23rd wedding anniversary, and I can tell you that I love this man as much as I've loved him since I was 12 years old, since I was 35 years old, or since now I'm 59 years old.
well, I can say I loved you as much as when you were 35, not 12.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that would be creepy, Dave.
Yeah.
So creepy creepies. Yeah,
We
I
don't
love
want
that. I have a
that.
cute story about, speaking of, if the kids, the kids were so sweet and loving toward me. And I was on a plane once visiting my twin sister in Nashville, flying back to Portland. And I was sitting by this guy. And of course, I'm that chatty Kathy that sits next to you. So if you don't want to talk, you got to read a book fast. And so this guy says to me, he was showing me pictures of his kids. And it was back when we carried photos in our wallets, I still do because I'm a dinosaur, but and he was showing me pictures of his kids, and I was showing him pictures of ours, and he said, just calm as a cucumber. He said, so out of the 3 kids, which one hates you? Or how many hate you? And I said, none. They all love me, and I love them. And he goes, and they're all teenagers now? And I go, oh yeah. And he said, then you are the most blessed woman on the planet, because to step in and be this new mom in their world. And I will say, and I said to him, yes, I am the most blessed woman on the planet. But I will say, I never, ever tried to cover Teresa up. We had photos of her all throughout our house. We had her poetry book on our coffee table. And we, we talked about her all the time. Like Dave said, we did dinners like 5 and 6 nights a week around our table. And there were no phones allowed and no TV on, and we talked about Teresa all the time.
Yeah, we still have a very prominent photo of Teresa and the 3 kids. It must right about probably 8, 10, 10, 12.
Yeah.
That's still on the wall, that when you're coming into the kitchen, you walk by it. And that was, another thing that was, I think just I'm grateful for with Kellie, is she was not intimidated to have memories of Teresa hanging on her wall.
Right.
Her mother came into town after,
my mom.
Kellie's mom.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there for the conversation, but she said, Kellie, you have to get these pictures of her off your walls. This is your house. And Kellie's like, no, this is our family's house, and she is a part of everything we do.
You have not, you're not trying to raise 3 children who have lost their mother. And I said, and if they want their mother's photos around, we're going to have their mother's photos around until we don't, and we still have her around.
Yeah.
So.
And all 6 grandkids know, that's Grandma Teresa, because when they come to the house, like I say, it's kind of on a prominent wall.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that Grandma Teresa's in heaven, and at least visually they know that is who their grandma she was.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to this woman, Kellie, her confidence in because most women would have an issue. Any woman that's got their own issues, right, would have an issue with stepping into that role and feeling like they're competing with a memory, right? But because that Teresa is this beautiful soul who still has an impact on your lives,
one of my best
and
friends.
Is still a participant in your lives, you're not, I don't know, you're not in
competition.
No, but that's not true for most women, for most people.
That to my mom. Yeah. And I love my mom. And she just, she was looking out for her daughter who was newly married and had this beautiful.
It would bother your mom. It would bother your mother.
Yes. And she said, and I just said, Mom, and I had to get pretty blunt with her, and this is a really blunt sentence, but I know you'll understand what I mean. I said, Mom, I'm not jealous of a dead woman. And I said, she is one of my best friends, Mom. So, don't put me in that position. She's one of my best friends. And, and my mom quieted right up and was like, okay, I get it. I understand. And it's because, it all our hearts were always and still are always concerned about our children. And
Right.
it's what's going to be best for our kids or our grandkids, and and we love them all dearly, and and it is just, it's always been about that. I mean, granted, I got my knight in shining armor, and and I share him with Teresa, and and she is alive in our world as much today as ever, and spoke about, and and she is our angel, and will always be. Yeah.
That is beautiful. That is
Thank
beautiful. And
you.
you really, you've honored her for her children, for your children. And I'm sure that has contributed in a huge way to them growing up to be self-confident, self-loved individuals who are very well adjusted in life. They didn't have to walk around on eggshells like, don't mention mom. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Kelly's gonna have a
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah.
Oh my
They
God, I'm
ask me
wearing
when they.
mom's old sweater. Oh, I can't wear it in front of Kelly. Like that has,
Yeah.
I deal with adults that are dealing with their inner child
Yes.
trauma. So
Yeah.
my heart soars when I hear stories like this because there are now three individuals who are not having to deal with this kind of trauma in adulthood. So
It
that
is,
is
well, and what
beautiful.
is so beautiful about it too is they know, if there's ever anything that triggers them, they know they can talk to us about it. And,
Yeah.
and they have talked to us about it. There's times when, I'm just shouting my love from the rooftops about this man, and, how blessed I am and how thankful I am. And sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, Kel, can you tone it down a little bit?" And I'm like, "I know, I'm sorry. I just love my family so much." But,
Oh,
that's also how I'm wired too. But, I make sure that I hear them out, and that they know that, it's nothing to diminish their mom. It's just that I'm just, so happy to have their dad, and they understand that, and they're all, our daughter turns 40 next January, our oldest, and, they're
crazy.
they're 35, 37, and 40 this year. And, wait, is Lauren going to be 38? But, so they've all got children, and they're all in their, mid 30s, and going to be in early 40s. And they get it, they get how this all works.
I got to
I
admit, I
love
still don't get what her attraction here is, but I'm thankful.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see it.
Well,
I see it. Hey guys, we're gonna have to bring this
yeah,
to a
bring it to a
close, even
close.
though I have like 10 more questions I would love to ask you, but unfortunately, we only have so much
Yeah.
conversion room for this interview. I just want to say what an incredible conversation this has been. Your story is a testament to the beauty of trusting the journey and listening to the signs and believing in love, even when it feels uncertain. I know so many listeners will walk away from this episode feeling inspired, hopeful, and maybe even a little more open to the signs in their own lives. And to everyone listening, if you haven't already, go grab a copy of Send Me a Sign, or once they sell out from your publishing website, there will be more. So just wait and we'll let you know. Okay. Leave a comment. I'll make sure I get your email and you will be notified. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you, you will not be able to put this book down. And if you love this conversation, please share this episode with someone who needs a little inspiration today. And if you'd love to hear more from Dave and Kellie, let me know, because maybe we can make this a series where we explore different aspects of love, destiny, and trusting the process. Thanks again, Dave and Kellie, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. And until next time, keep your heart open, keep listening for the signs, and remember, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Yeah.
Bye now.